Hey everyone, it's DQ Reads. I'm gonna look different in the intro of this video. I'm gonna look the same as the outro, but in the middle of the video, the meat of the video, I'm gonna look different and I will explain that in the outro, so stay tuned. Well, welcome to my accidental mini series where I look at negative reviews of my all-time favorite books. I get real into it and I definitely react in a way that is maybe not the greatest because people have terrible taste and I only have the good taste in books. It's only me. It's only me.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little nervous because I tend to not read reviews for a very specific reason. I don't like to read them before because I find that they'll sway my opinion, and I don't like to read them after, especially when they're reviews I don't agree with, because they kind of bothers me, like, sorry you don't have good taste in books. Enough said. It's not so much that I don't agree with people that don't have the same taste in books as me, it's just that when you love a book so much and you read it all the time, when someone doesn't like it, it sucks. Some of these books I'm so very invested in have been reading over and over again for years. So the idea of someone else not liking them or, well, hating them is kind of sad to me. Okay, let's get started. So I wanted to start with my all-time favorite series, which is the Lorien Legacy series by Pittacus Lore. I'm just gonna start with the first book of the series. Oh my god, the first two. First two are 1 star. This hurts me. Okay, so I'm not gonna disclose who these people are, because although this information is public to everyone, I don't really think that's fair. But I'll just have their review. But, I mean, I'm sure you could honestly find it if you actually cared that much. Let me read it. This book is so strange and awful, it's hard to explain exactly why I dislike it. Thank God this book doesn't live up to its hype like Twilight did. Isn't Twilight known as like the crappy writing of like everywhere? Like, don't get me wrong, I loved Twilight and I love the movies because they're like little guilty pleasures of messed up whatever, but okay. At least I hope it didn't, because I don't really hear much about this one. I couldn't get past chapter 9. It was such a bloody bore. I was honestly hooked within like the first chapter, so I decided to give it time for me to find that little spark. But no. Now here are the problems. Lore can't use the word "and" in the proper way, which seems like it's not a big of a deal, but it is. He randomly places it and tries to get his readers to understand his reading, and it's quite awful. See, I find I never have a problem with this because the way he writes is the way I write / think. So, whatever. The characters are all bland and pathetic. John seems to have a false sense of bravado. Henry makes me want to bang my head against the wall. Don't diss Henry. I'll come for you. And don't get me started on Sarah. The characters are so emotionless, no depth. I agree with Sarah because I find she's very stereotypical, especially at the beginning. Also, it's kind of hard to argue like the characters have no depth, in my opinion, at the very beginning of, there's like 6 or 7 books, I think, or more of the series. So I mean, like, you can't expect a whole character development in the first book when there's an entire series behind it. So I think that one's not really a fair comment. Because I feel like what this person is saying is that like they didn't have the growth and like that characters would have in a book, but again, it's the first of like a bunch of books, so they're not going to have all that growth in the first book. Lore tends to forget the most significant detail regarding his plot. It's like, oh, I forgot to mention what my powers are. Oh wait, my name is... That's not the plot though. That's just part of the dream. Again, I feel like a lot of these criticisms are coming from the fact that like you need to read more of it to know, but like it's so hard with this series to judge just one book. Like I feel like you have to judge the series as a whole. His writing is dull and boring in every way possible. It reminds me of Fitzgerald's writing. This person says, I'm not sure what I Am Number 4 is doing here on a website dedicated to reviewing books, because whatever this thing is a travesty, a sham. It's not a book. It's a disgrace to real books, which isn't quite the same thing. That's how awful this piece of writing is. It's so awful I can't bring myself to call it a book, even though it's masquerading as one for tax purposes. Heed my warning, gentle reader. Do not read this thing. I don't know you, but I know you're better than this. I have faith in you. What's that? My pep talk isn't enough, you say? You need further convincing? Fine. Here's another reason to stay away from this contemptible excuse of a novel. You probably have better ways to spend your money than funding the career of a hack. 1,000 curses upon your rating system, oh Goodreads, for making it impossible to give a book 0 stars. This book has 0 redeeming qualities and deserves a corresponding rating. Wow. Okay. Which is honestly part of the reason I don't really like reading full reviews, because people's opinions are so their own, which is fine. I mean, everyone can have their own opinion. That's kind of the whole what opinions are. It's your own thoughts and feelings. But I don't really personally like it, especially with books, because they sway my opinion so much. If I were to have read, especially these negative ones, before reading it, I might go into it expecting something crappy and then have a perceived view of it then being crappy. This is honestly one of my favorite books, literally my favorite series. It's such a fun storyline. It's like fun to imagine being one of those characters in such a crazy, messed up world and life. I just really enjoy the book. But again, not everyone enjoys the same thing, so it's not really why I love reviews all that much. I like seeing the overall reviews, and most books tend to be overall around 4 stars. Yeah, so this overall review for this book is 3.94 stars. When a book is overall like 3 stars is when I tend to look into the book itself a little bit more. But that's just me.
Editing DQ here. Sorry, don't mind my eyebrows. I just realized that I still have my Maybelline tattoo thing on. I have an interview later today. It's a whole thing. Anyway, I just wanted to say that as I was editing this video, I realized that it was going to be ridiculously long, so I decided to divide it into 3 parts because I did look at reviews for 3 separate books. So the endings are a little choppy and a little weird now, and now the introductions are going to be a little choppy and a little weird, and that's why. So thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe and comment down below. What is your favorite book or favorite series, and have you ever looked at the negative reviews of it? I would love to know, because this has been an experience, let me tell you. Remember that I post videos every Monday and Wednesday, so check back in on my channel on those days. Happy reading!